what is going on in East Lansing, as they have had two high-profile entries into the transfer portal, right? One is wide receiver Keon Coleman, who had a breakout year at Michigan State. And frankly, we thought up until last year he was better basketball prospect than wide receiver prospect. But you could see he has the ability to body up smaller defensive backs. He has great jump ball skills. And if you are throwing him straight into football without any, lean toward basketball, what kind of a wide receiver prospect could he be? That's very intriguing. Him going into the portal doesn't necessarily mean good things for Michigan State, because he's joined in the portal by quarterback Payton Thorne, a 2-year starter for Michigan State, and one of the guys that Mel Tucker was building around going into this 2023 season. They're in a difficult spot because we don't see somebody behind Payton Thorne that we immediately believe can come in and either perform as well or better than him. So I'm going to keep my eyes on what's going on in East Lansing as we head into this really pivotal 2023 for the Big Ten, who is going to have 14 teams for the last year for the foreseeable future when USC, UCLA join next year. Now, outside of all of that, I still want to see Michigan State's defense be the kind of defense that I thought it was capable of being. When they got Scotty Hazelton over there joining Mel Tucker, you saw what it could be. And then they gave us that great, outstanding year where they win 11 games. But it's very clear that Kenneth Walker III had a lot to do with their success, and finding guys that could replicate that sort of production has been difficult for them. And now you're losing your 2-year starter that you were building around. Mel Tucker's got some work to do in East Lansing, but I think you can figure it out. I think Michigan State's got some chances here. It's just, can you pull somebody out of the portal? Maybe somebody like former Nebraska quarterback Casey Thompson. That's a segue. It's not necessarily likely. Now, I say it's not likely, but watch. Payton Thorne and Casey Thompson could just switch, right? Payton Thorne can end up in Nebraska. Casey Thompson can end up in Michigan State. But what I think is more interesting about Casey Thompson going into the portal is that this is the second time that he would be leaving a program, and I believe the third time that he had entered the transfer portal altogether. This is a kid that I followed since he was a high school sophomore at Southmore down the road when I was covering Oklahoma day-to-day as a beat writer. I saw him grow up, saw him leave the Southmore Jaguars to go at Newcastle, which you've never heard of and never needed to hear of, but he was good enough there that he got offers from Oklahoma and Texas, ended up committing to Texas, eventually won the starting job at Texas, and it just didn't go so well, right? He transfers to Nebraska. You could see the tools are there. You could see his ability with the ball, but it's just not going well under a new head coach in Matt Rule, who brought in Jeff Sims to compete with Thompson, and Thompson apparently doesn't feel good about the situation. I'm going to be interested to see where Thompson ends up, because we're getting into JT Daniels territory here. JT Daniels, who's at Rice now, and at one point had played at USC, Georgia, and West Virginia. I'm really trying to figure out if this is a good move for Thompson or a good move for Nebraska. Maybe both are good moves, but it does tell me a lot about what Matt Rule and his staff think about Jeff Sims, at least for now. Maybe they go get another scholarship quarterback to replace a Thompson, or Thompson decides to come back to Nebraska for this 2023 season. But also threw for 2,400 yards, 17 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Jeff Sims, who was not unremarkable at Georgia Tech, had started 23 games for the Yellow Jackets and apparently is doing enough to convince folks in Nebraska that they're going to be in good hands with their guy behind center. All right. Also over the weekend, former Notre Dame wide receiver turned cornerback Lorenzo Styles transfers to Ohio State to join his little brother, Sonny Styles, we think as a cornerback. Now, this is interesting for me because, A, the Styles are a Buckeye family. I believe their father played at Ohio State. And you're also talking about adding another cornerback to what I think is a pretty good room of cornerbacks. There are 4 guys at Ohio State that you got to feel good about, including Jordan Hancock, Denzel Burke, and Jair Brown. I think having a guy like Lorenzo in that room can only help you with his experience and, frankly, his ability, right? This is a guy that caught passes and knows how to defend pass catchers. I think that's great. I also believe that this is good for Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles could make the starting lineup in 2023 as a safety and former 5-star, a guy that, frankly, could be going both ways if that's what you wanted him to do. But I thought The quote from Jim Knowles following spring practice told us a lot about Sonny Styles. Goes, I think when you look at the potential best 11 players for the 2023 defense, he's a guy that our staff is going to point out and say, we need to find a way to get him in there. He held his own in the playoff semifinal against Georgia, and I think he's just got all kinds of skill. They also got 3 guys coming back that they feel good about. Lathan Ransom, Ronnie Hickman, and Owasso, Oklahoma's own Josh Proctor. Tulsa boys, absolutely smacking. I think if you get this figured out on the back end, you put Ohio State in position to go hunting for a Big Ten championship, perhaps the first Big Ten championship they won since Michigan decided, hey, 2021, we're the new landlords. Everything runs through Ann Arbor, and it has since then. Very curious to see what happens at Ohio State, as we're also going into, quietly, a summer where Michigan has the #1 ranked recruiting class for 2024. That probably holds up for the next 3 to 6 weeks. And if you are Michigan and you've heard me bagging on you for not being so good at recruiting, hey man, stretch your lead, especially as it doesn't feel like Ohio State knows exactly who it's going to be defensively and is in the midst of its own quarterback derby. This is for Michigan to take care of as Ohio State's still trying to figure this out, still adding guys to the defense from the transfer portal. All right, let's switch from talking about transfer players to the NFL draft. Now, there's a lot that came out of the NFL draft. And it's one of the reasons that we love to watch these names run across the screen and watch other people read these names out loud, because your mind starts to race about what that team could be. All of a sudden, we all become fantasy football managers once again, and we also get into our Madden mode, right? But I'm looking at Philadelphia, and all I can think of is UGA's North Campus must be really nice, because that is what Howie Roseman decided to do, was just fill Philadelphia with Bulldogs, right? We're talking about 5 guys that were drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles over the last 2 years to their franchise. Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Kelee Ringo, all guys that have played national championship football for the Dogs over the last 2 years, and frankly, the best defense in the country over the last 2 years. That's wild to me. And then you add on the offensive side of the ball, they went to go get DeAndre Swift from the Detroit Lions to fill a need that they absolutely had at running back. But if you're looking at the Philadelphia defense, you see Jordan Davis, you see Jalen Carter, you see Fletcher Cox, you see Hassan Reddick. Kelee Ringo has an opportunity to start on that in that secondary. Nakobe Dean is not just one of the smartest linebackers that you've ever heard of. He's got a mechanical engineering degree from the University of Georgia. All right, you could do a whole hell of a lot worse than a player such as him. I'm very interested to see what the Philadelphia Eagles can do this year, mostly because there are people trying to tell me that they're not the favorite in the NFC. And as much as I would love this to be Dallas Cowboys, that just ain't going to be that's just not going to be what it is. It's the Niners, right? And it's basically the Niners because you're thinking about what they were able to do with a third string quarterback in Brock Purdy. But I'm looking at, I just paid Jalen Hurts all this money. Howie Roseman, who is a Florida alumnus, has brought in all these dudes from Georgia on defense because they're hunting now. They have some dudes that are really reaching the end of their careers and their last opportunity in their primes to go chasing a Super Bowl. I'm all in on this move. Very excited to see what they look like, and not so excited to see what they look like against my Dallas Cowboys because, well, we've been the Cowboys for 30 damn years, and we can't get out of the way of the Giants or the Eagles, who have both won Super Bowls in the 21st century, and somehow my Dallas Cowboys can't get it together. We can pat Tom Brady on the booty on the way out, but we can't go win no Super Bowl. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.